I was just asking because Split was played yesterday, but no, Sick has played Sova before, yes, but he only played it like literally once. He played it once before, and pulling it out yesterday on Icebox, a big change for him. We weren't able to see really the agent selects, but we could see a little bit of a glimpse of it as Sentinels. It's not exactly surprising. Same thing with Immortals. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for waiting. Thank you so much for hearing us vamp, because now we're finally into the second semifinals between Immortals and Sentinels. Immortals, they're looking for the upset. Sentinels, they want to maintain their spot in top 3 in A.
They want that heavy seeding if they possibly can, and it begins with a bang, not a whimper, that's for sure. We've already traded blows back and forth as Immortals have lost now Chemicals, a player that I was hyping up so much. But, you know, at the same time, it's a little bit rough for Sentinels because they have lost now Raze. And obviously, Sinatraa is an absolute masterclass. He just shows everybody how to do it in a textbook fashion. Now dapr has been taken out for good measure, and Sentinels, they're being knocked down a couple of pegs as they're looking to push towards A.
Shahzam still around the corner waiting for players to try to rotate it, but instead, both Nature and jcstani, who are waiting up on the A site, they end up getting exposed. So there you go. Sentinels now left with only a singular person, still Sick. And he has a whole lot of routes to go through. Still, the B side is going to be fully his. So welcome to the Sova show. I want to see if he has any cheeky lineups or anything of the sort, but we're not going to see too much of that going into this round. Instead, he has to hold on to his guns, hold on to his britches, because this one is going to be quite entertaining. Still the 2v1. I think Genghsta is the only one with a low HP, but
he has a dart.
Does have the dart, does have at least recon, and ooh. Okay, at least just a far one. That was just a straight shot, no bounce, nothing of the sort. Still fairly simple, but in we go. He's about to get revealed by that potentially. No, he's not. He's right behind the wall and just waiting up with the owl drone at the perfect time too. Well done. In they go. Still the defuse going down for shot up, and Sick can't get the headshot in the end. If there's anything that Sick can do, it's absolutely aim. This guy has been an absolute demon in terms of fragging, but Immortals, they still counteract at the end of things. Shot up takes it back, and although we did have an interesting play at the very middle with both jcstani and Nature going down, Sentinels, they get knocked down a peg. It's 1-0 for Immortals early on Icebox.
But this is something I think you're going to be seeing repeating a lot in this series. Going down to the wire, Sick gave that a really good chance for himself to win, but was Shot Up who closed things out. You're talking about people who know how to aim. Shot Up is no exception either. He was a superstar yesterday in their series. And hey, off to a good start. 3 kills in the pistol is a beautiful look for you. Sentinels will quickly begin with another execute towards A with only pistols to show for it. They're going to really try to burst up as soon as possible. And I think Shot Up, well, this could be a bit of a disastrous position. He's going to need to lurk in these dark covers and hit a couple of bangers with that stinger. Ooh. Maybe be bailed out.
Might actually be bailed out because Shot Up, if anything, he can just force up in the smoke and just wait for that first contact, and indeed he did. Oh, what a flick from Shot Up! Okay.
He knows how to aim.
This guy's nuts. He's going for the 4th, of course. He didn't need to get bailed out. Shot Up's just an absolute legend. 2-0 start for Immortals. Not a singular one of those SMGs going down, so this is as much of a bonus round as you can get here, Ito.
It's a good luck for Immortals to start out in such a clean fashion like that. Shot Up already at 7-0, but yeah, his first challenge really comes now because, well, he does still have this stinger in play, and that is a crazy weapon as we saw right there. It's not going to be nearly as easy to do it against Phantoms and Vandals that, well, will inevitably be in play. I'm wondering what Sentinel's approach is going to be here, because it seems that once again they want to do this A burst. They toss out a smoke to try to stave off maybe an inevitable push from Immortals, but they're not respecting it. Look at this on your radar. They're already pushing through, and they pit Shot Up, just hold down tubes. Uncontested so far. You're going to see the stack now gamble towards A. Great paranoia too.
Yeah.
This is big for Immortals. So much info.
Yeah, so much info for Immortals, but even then Sentinels, it's just a light pressure. We saw Paranoia go back, but this Aldrin should be able to at least garner at least some of the spots. But again, like you mentioned, the gamble rotate coming in from Immortals is going to be heavily in their favor. Sentinels really does want to commit to this purely because of the positions that we see, especially from Shot Up. There you go. He gets that first frag. No way he doesn't get traded, right? You think. But the dismiss gets him out of there. Almost gets himself the second, but Zombs is going absolutely nuts. And Sick is there to return the frag back. Sentinels against Immortals, his best chance to really rack on a couple of rounds. They're knocking them down to only 2 players remaining. Again, they can't exactly do much. They're still peeking around the corner. That's, well, that turret with Sinatraa at an extreme off angle. Can't do much with it. Genghsta now in a 1v4. His goal now were to be, I guess, a couple of exits, but I think everyone from Sentinels might just be running in a little bit. But they fully spot this one out. Good headshot from Genghsta. He's chilling out, though.
He does have a dart.
He's
Maybe
literally
cheese
in that
another
same
frag.
position. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Could do a little bit more, but yeah, that was a weird one. It was a bonus, though, so they're going to fully reinvest in the next round anyways. Yeah, nothing to lose.
Started out on a good note for them, though. You cannot deny that. Shot at being able to get away with murder there, at least for a little while, but forcefully traded out. Sentinels push their advantage and push it into a round win for them. And they're starting to get close to some of those big ultimates. Obviously, Sick has his Hunter's Fury, as you see on your scoreboard right there, but the Bladestorm nearly available for Shahzam, and we're a couple of points off from Sinatraa being able to pick up the Showstopper as well. All of those are great engines to try to make a push happen with, plus a little bit of security in case you lose this round right here. So this is pretty pivotal for Immortals just in the early game. So obviously they're going to be trying to chase down this opening pick. Chemicals misses a shot though, and Sentinels look at their response now. They're kind of spreading their wings a little bit wider here, as actually the first kill does come through, but that's onto Shahzam over towards A. This is bad news bears for Sentinels.
Okay.
Or is it?
I guess so, but I guess look at this off angle position from Sinatraa. Just as the smoke dissipates, he had a great angle. But because of that position from Sinatraa, Sick, who wasn't spotted at all, just inadvertently gets peeked on by Chemicals. I mean, you hate to see it, honestly, but Chemicals, we take those. He's going to be able to get himself an early kill onto Sentinels. But not only that, he can continue his scoreline. Nobody's pressuring him out in this corner. Just a nade in the back lines, he doesn't care. He's down at 87 HP. He still has more than enough. With 35 seconds left, Sentinels, they don't go at a fast pace at all. They get picked down over towards the A site. Yet another early one from Chemicals as he has full control. But now Zombs could potentially get something done. But oh my lord, shot up. That man's a legend. 20 seconds left. Sinatraa almost literally cannot do anything with his control, but can't exactly get a plant. I thought Shot Up was going to be able to get it, but instead now Sinatraa, he could try to go nuts. Does have the Showstopper back, but jcstani, an even better shot than what we saw earlier from Shot Up, because Sinatraa just went down like a clay pigeon.
And that's a great round for Immortals as well. We didn't exactly see that frag that happened onto Shahzam because it was completely unexpected. That man got killed basically outside of spawn. He was just barely up towards those rafters on A, or not the rafters, excuse me, the pipes towards A. He went down immediately, and that kind of threw a wrench into everything Sentinels were working for there. We still tried to stick to it a little bit by keeping Zombs there as kind of this late lurk, but obviously not getting anything out of it because it was such a nice hard clear from Shot Up. Really patient, disciplined from Immortals. Will net them a third round here, and yeah, there it is. Clay pigeon shooting for them. And Immortals moving up to 3 and looking really good while doing it. Sentinels still have a bit of money in their arsenal. You're probably going to be seeing Shahzam pop that Bladestorm sooner rather than later because he only has a stinger in play. There it is, right on cue. Now, what I'm hoping here is that we see something that Immortals did a lot yesterday, where they cut noise as long as they can and try to burst up A. And Shot Up might want to take the fight to them. This is so scary.
It's so scary for the boys of Sentinels, but Shot Up, he's more than confident. Still has so many angles to actually look at as he's still in a 2-man setup, with his teammate actually being fairly conservative on sights.
He heard that.
He certainly did, but against Sentinels, they've always been in that back line anyways, and Shot Up knows this. Just so happens to be that he has such a great opportunity, but Sinatraa takes him down immediately. Shot Up misses his first opportunity for the frag, and what I said before with the confidence, that's seeped away. Still Immortals with a man advantage. Genghsta takes it back,
Paranoia.
and jcstani, beautiful position. Gonna be able to take that one. Still through the smoke, can't get it, but he readjusts for the third.
That's huge.
Huge for jcstani. Genghsta takes it back. Sentinels, right as they started to get a couple of wins under their belts, well, it's just going to be Immortals back on the win sheet and the win tally. And Sentinels is back to pistols now, Ito.
Back to pistols in such a harsh fashion to lose it in as well, because that went a little bit better for them. All things considered, they managed to stay alive, keep all their players, all their ducks lined up in a row, and they actually did have, it was Sick lurking over towards B. I think he used his drone early on to look for some info, but it was a very standard default for them. Just an incredible burst of action. jcstani was in a beautiful position, and since they ran down the clock so much, Sentinels couldn't exactly afford to clear all those angles as hard as they normally would. So this is the natural conclusion. Sentinels will up the pace. They have the ultimates if they get that spike down, and that'll make things a lot more palatable. So look for that spike to go down ASAP.
And
actually right on cue, there it is.
Yeah, there you go. Zombs just rushes his way on site, but still jcstani has been in his position for a while. Sinatraa was about to go down, but jcstani couldn't take him down, so even then, the showstopper hits. Shahzam still gets a kill back onto nature. That was a little bit off angly, but even then, Chemicals on the front lines still has at least the op out. The right clicks, but the classic doesn't work out in this favor. But shut up with both players and off angles. The Hunter's Fury going in, still down a half. Sick might be in such a tricky scenario now, and even with next click, the defuse will go in. That is so unfortunate, as Sentinels early on, they had so much map control in a sense. They had so much site control. They still had players over towards the back lines, but I think in the middle of the chaos, still trying to take down Immortals really on their way into site, especially over towards main, there were players coming up from stairs area, just essentially slipping their way by, and Sentinels, they couldn't really keep track of things. By that time ended up going by. Immortals, they still had what would be great pivots, and Sentinels in off positions, they ended up getting exposed, and that gives Immortals a 5th round. Sentinels could have definitely pulled off the eco. I mean, that was more than theirs, but still now with the rifles back, and Immortals with their economy a little bit more damaged, there could be a massive opportunity. But Genghsta actually shuts down dapr early. That's a big frag, but Shahzam gets one back too. It's a 4v4 now, Ito.
Sentinels made that one incredibly close for what they had to work with. They blew a couple of ultimates for it. They don't have that Hunter Sphere as well as the Showstopper in play. And if Immortals get that Killjoy lockdown up pretty soon, that could be a tool that otherwise not wasted, but it could have been used to take down the lockdown. I mean, really, the stocks for that lockdown become way more valuable. So look for that to try to come into play soon. But for now, like you said, they've stayed even so far. I think perhaps the best move for them to be, or would be, sending it B like they are right now, but keep an eye on zombs. That late lurk, I think, is going to be absolutely round-changing. He's not even going to be in that position. He's just going to help out for the fight. Toss out smoke. This is going to be a really one-track-minded sort of push. It doesn't seem to actually hurt Sentinels anymore, though. They find the opening kill. They're fine with it anyway.
Like I said, Shahzam, he takes up so much space in such little time. He's more interactive in a sense that you would expect off of swings, and he definitely proves it. Still going for that first contact, clearing up more line of sights, as now Sentinels, they're still running out of time to actually get that plant down with, again, the Nano Swarm just chipping away so much damage. Still Genghsta in the back lines, and wow, Shahzam, the 1-2 combo, but shut up, shuts it down, no time, 29 seconds left, he needs to run, but Shahzam shuts it down with milliseconds left in the clock. The ace from the absolute legend. Again, Shahzam, he will not stop holding W. He will not stop shooting at bodies, as Immortals, they have no chance against this guy.
And if that last round wasn't close enough, this one is even closer. Only this time, Sentinels win, and they look beautiful because of it. Another round in their favor. An amazing highlight play from Shahzam. You can't wish for anything more. This is Valorant at its best. And Immortals left a little bit shocked after that one. But they will continue to fight, will continue to buy, and they're going for the same setup that they've done previously, only this time Sentinels have learned from their mistakes. That lockdown that I mentioned previously isn't going to be in play for this round either, but look about a lockdown that is in play. Going to be used from Sentinels. That's going to be their engine to push. Or is it?
Again, that takes up so much line of sight, and well, indeed they are. It just so happens to be that Spike is back in their spawn. Immortals has made that full rotate now here, Ito, because Lord, Look how much control Sentinels actually has. But Immortals, they could explode at any moment. Chemicals literally dashes away in what might have been line of sight for the boys of Sentinels, but no one's able to catch him. But it's done now. shahzam with more opportunities for frags. The double peek, well coordinated, but now in comes the hold. dapr on the front line takes that one. Still Sinatraa. Chemicals in the smoke. Chemicals is literally the last man remaining with no HP. And Sentinels, off of that lockdown, I thought that Immortals were about to explode on that site. Everyone had rotated. Everyone was behind that circle. Immortals, they have proven themselves as a great retaking team, especially in this game thus far. But Sentinels, with such good off angles in a sense, and a little bit more of a desperate mindset, or a mindset for Immortals, they ended up falling right into crosshairs, right into crossfires. And while Sentinels, they have themselves a third round. And this one would kind of be a nail in the coffin for the economy of Immortals because, I mean, they're about to get resets. Sentinels can tie this game up with this round alone.
And they just might do it. Although it's not off to the cleanest start for them, Sentinels have shown an incredible amount of resilience. That lockdown was so huge for a number of reasons, something I'll have to touch on later because I think it's not going to be something that's limited to that one round only. Sentinels, although they've dropped a player, they've quickly evened things up here, and this is why I wasn't worried. The resilience from Sentinels is so absurd. They've not only eked out one more kill, but had a chance to get another one too. Now jcstani is threatening that plant from potentially going down. shahzam doesn't have his teammates back covered, and that's actually really going to hurt. They do get the spike planted, which is great news, and shahzam does hit a banger, but it'll still all come down to Sinatraa to hold the line. It's not going to work out, so everything that I was praising for Sentinels in the past doesn't seem to come to fruition right here. But the reason why that happened is because Immortals were in just such perfect positions to trade each other out. And despite originally it was Nature who got caught off guard from his position, jcstani was more than eager to step up, take the reins, and completely shift that round around. Immortals, they'll extend their lead even further.
They look to do so, and it's more or less the same position as I placed, really, Immortals in the last round.
Right.
Sentinels, they're the ones now down on the economy, but you have to look over towards shahzam now. shahzam, I can't believe that he's actually going for this op pick, but there's a reason why, right? He's actually so confident on that scopes rifle thus far, and I don't doubt him at this point. Although his economy goes down incredibly low, he has nothing to lose and all the frags to gain. He gets himself one back onto shut up, and even then, Sentinels off that first pick, they're still looking to go quick. jcstani with the teleport back, although he is getting pinged out. 8 HP, and this man has almost no chance. That nade catches him off, and now, still, Immortals over towards the back of site. The rotation has been fully made. No ultimates at this point, because here's the thing, Sentinels still has full control of this site, but they're playing so aggressively. Ito, how is this working out for the boys of Immortals? But dapr, he's gonna be able to get Chemicals, who tried to get a little bit spicy with the op, and even then, Nature now in a 1v2, gonna be able to catch one. Still one up top. shahzam, he won out at least one of these rounds with a clutch. He could do it again, but Nature, good call out, and shahzam gets taken down. Immortals, I mean, at least carried out at the very end by Nature. This man has at least some sort of clutch gene.
Mate, that was his first kills of the game. That was huge for the morality, if nothing else. The fact that the first time he comes online to build up that lockdown, to finally, you know, up your ego a tiny bit, is a clutch against the best team in the world, or the best in North America. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Man.
But Immortals are looking phenomenal right now. They're close to nearly having 5 ultimates in play. This round is about to get insanely messy. And if not this round, the next one, because that's the final one of the half.
He's an impact fragger. I mean, you can't really say anything else than that, right? 2 kills, and they lead into a clutch.
That's an impact frag.
But, well, Sentinels, they're still targeting the A side here, Ito, but with the Killjoy ulti, with the lockdown going in and the fast rotations from Immortals starting to stack up once again, this could start to get a little bit messy. As Sentinels, they're still making up space a little bit, but Immortals, they're fighting back. Lockdown be lockdown, though. The spike could still go down easily.
And that's such a threatening lockdown too. They have to respect it, but they do get the spike down. This is where Sentinels want to be. These are the optimal post-plant positions for them, completely out of range for the lockdown, so it didn't really accomplish all too much at the end of the day. There is going to be that shock darts pulled out, which will allow Nature to pick up the first frag, but he's traded out quickly by no one else but Sinatraa, who finishes it off with style. A close range rocket makes Subroza sweat. Sentinels, they take number 4.
And again, an explosion over towards site, but Sentinels, again, remember the last time that they had the lockdown over towards that site, it was very much more contested by...
It was a funnel.
Exactly. It was very much contested for Sentinels in one exact position. But instead now they do spread out their attention a little bit more. Immortals, they actually end up stretching out into the circle a little bit more than we expected, especially that late on. And Sentinels, they were more than ready for it. Again, just well done. As now Sentinels.
That's good by Chemicals.
I mean, that's great by Chemicals, but he had such a good spot early on to potentially get himself a frag to open up that B main area. But again, Sentinels, they're just playing this play-by-play. And already with 120 left in the round, you have 3 players going down as Zombs takes down jcstani.
They do have some pretty powerful ultimates, though. That Hunter's Fury, I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing it used to try to deny plant. Or, I mean, there's so many ways to use this Hunter's Fury, it's impossible to track down the one that they're going to try to go with. Ultimate use for info is also important to mention. Sentinels, they don't even seem fully dedicated to this idea of going B, but now after getting that amazing kill from Shot Up, I think they've become a little bit more convinced. Hunter's Fury will indeed come through, not to deny plant, but just to deny them space. But it's not going to work. Shock Dart will go out, this one actually to deny the plant. But it's a 1v4 that Genghsta will have to pull off, and I'm pretty sure here that we're looking at 7-5. We're definitely looking at 7-5.
Yeah, no, it's
wow.
done right.
Jeez.
Well, that's a halfway line.
Util, dude. This is true.
I honestly can't fathom some of the rounds that Sentinels were actually able to win, because Immortals, although it is more or less expected nowadays on Icebox, I think because we didn't have the camera all too much on the players rotating from the B sites, one thing that I've been really impressed with has just been how fast Immortals have been able to fight back against Sentinels, really off of the, what would be the first pick. Once one pixel gets spotted for Sentinels, or I'm sorry, for Immortals, that rotation comes in a flash. But sometimes that goes completely against them, because Immortals, in that play at least, they scatter themselves up. That's the 1-to-1 shahzam. Just get an easy frags. He's eating good today with a high frag score, but even then, Sentinels still at 5 rounds. If they get this one out, it's essentially going to be a tie score. But Immortals now on the attacking side, they're going to take a page out of the Immortals. Sentinels book. They're approaching the A site. Fast rotations are going to come in for Sentinels too. There's too close.
They always burst up like this. They did this so many times yesterday where I'm going to call it the Immortals. I know you were thinking about maybe the Sentinels playbook, but right now all I can keep my eye on is the fact that there's a Sheriff in play, and they'll be taken out before there's actually any use. Immortals, they're just stomping, man. This is exactly like yesterday. Such a clean execute from the Immortal side.
And again, let me remind you, it's rare to see Sentinels even lose out on this map, although again, it is very much new. Sentinels has been really the one team in North America to really maintain this map in their map pool. I mean, this is their map pick.
They picked it. Yeah.
They picked it. I mean, it's such a rarity to see this map getting picked by anyone, and they still had full confidence that they could take this forward as a counter pick throughout this entire tournament. Immortals, they're really waking up Sentinels to what might be a little bit more of a scrappier pick. Maybe they shouldn't have picked Icebox. Maybe they should have done a little bit more studying, but that's the thing right here, Itzo. What is there to study on Immortals? This team is almost completely brand new. If we saw another organization other than Immortals with this lineup, I wouldn't doubt it. I would have been like, all right, couple free agents, you put them on a pug squad, and it just works out. It just so happens that this lineup right here, right now, they ended up picking up a map pool in such a short amount of time, and it's succeeding against one of the best teams in North America. Let's not speak in absolutes though, because Sentinels, they still have a huge chance in their hands, but they really need to counteract this B rotate, because there's really only one man here.
He's one hell of a player, but being able to hold it down alone doesn't exactly seem too likely with only a pistol in tow. He'll respect the decision, give it up entirely, and Sentinels have now come to try to back up his teammate, but dapr is in such just a far-off, isolated position where it's just a matter of time before he gets overwhelmed. This is Immortals now trying to extend for as much control as they can. They've already gotten the spike down. Go for a little bit more. You have absolutely zero reason not to. They farm frags and the round is over in a burst. Immortals are so close to double digits. And although Sentinels do have a buy in hand, Immortals have been scary even with the guns that they currently have. Those Stingers, the Spectre, as well as the Bulldog. Look, man, obviously I'm going to have to favor Sentinels for it because the artillery diff alone is scary, but Immortals have been really impressing me so far from both yesterday into today as well. It didn't seem like just a fluke yesterday.
No, it didn't seem like it because, again, I don't know what to think with this Immortal squad, especially coming into this tournament. I expected to see TSM. I expected to see 100 Thieves in this position. Neither one of them made it into the closed qualifier. So instead, now someone has to step up, right? Someone has to step up, and his name is Shot Up. Wonderfully done. He just zooms his way forward. And Sentinels, in this round, Ito had the full rifles, and they're just getting exposed now. Shot Up with a massive opportunity, but he ends up not resetting his spray really on time to counteract dapr's swing. Sinatraa, what on earth was that peak? How high is his sensitivity? Still a 3-on-3 though. Nature, he's gonna be the one to really get that first contact. Huge. And indeed he does. Not only that, but jcstani is here to help out. dapr now, 1v3. He puts it down to a 1v1. But Nature is there once again. Like I said, impact frags only. This man is huge. That's the bonus taken by Immortals. And who knows at this point, we might see Immortals take off a map off of Sentinels.
It wouldn't be the craziest storyline that we've seen so far this event, but it would definitely be a crazy wake-up call for Sentinels. Again, they picked this map, and yes, we can always talk back to how this is about seeding when it all comes down to it, but Immortals, the way they have been playing, I mean, this is great practice for them, if nothing else. They might snatch away a 1 or number 2 seed. I mean, right now, they are looking phenomenal. But again, zoom out a little bit. This map isn't done yet. Sentinels have incredible mental fortitude. Like I mentioned, they have not exactly the best guns to work with, but they have something. They have a Stinger in play from dapr, who was massive last round. Couldn't quite clutch up a 1v3. But as Immortals now shift their focus over to the other side of the map, things become a little bit more possible. Or does it? There's Chemicals. You completely shut me up.
There you go. So Sentinels, they had something at least going for them. At least in terms of the pivot, right? They had the right position outside of that B site, and they were ready for Immortals to go take. But with the double back, they do the exact same thing. Good call out from Sentinels. I mean, this is the hardest of reads, but oh, that Hunter Sphere would have had to be big. But there you go, dapr. He's been ready for this play for a while.
No way.
Huge shot again. The headshot's coming swinging, but Shot Up somehow is still alive. He's trying to shut down the Killjoy, and indeed he will. The lockdown goes down, but even then, Shot Up still has a 1v1. It was pure chaos for a couple of seconds there. And with that flick, one bullet would have done it for Sinatraa. And Immortals, they clean up the eco round. So again, I might have had to bite my words there for a second, but again, you got to give it to Sentinels because they still have what would be that gambling mindset, especially in that eco round, and they made the right reads. They made the right pushes. And dapr, the player that was on the hero rifle going into that round, he absolutely utilized it. Maybe not to the absolute success, but still had the opportunities to frag out. So Sentinels, they're given more opportunities than I would think. And looking like a couple of buddies at this point. Immortals and Sentinels, they look like really clones of each other in terms of the strat book.
Hell of a scary team. A new look for Immortals, seems to be a beautiful look on them. Sentinels, they fight back as they just immediately take down the lockdown. Par for the course so far, Immortals, they've been no strangers to taking things a bit slower here, but usually it's been a fake towards A and then they execute B. And it seems at least a bit similar, but now they've kept one player over towards mid. Keep an eye on him. because he could definitely be perhaps the pincer that Immortals are looking for to snatch away this round as well. Shot up, bleeding internally, gets out alive. And there it is, jcstani. Actually, his position gets compromised. Zombs beats him out in Omen Supremacy. And we have a pretty awkward situation on our hands. Let's be real here, Upmind, because Immortals, they've had pretty decent mid-round calls before, but they've never been in this sort of situation this late in the round where it's 4v5. Only a couple players from Sentinels hurting on top of it. The first challenge they faced.
30 seconds left.
One of the first.
One of the first at least, but still Sentinels. I did say before that they've been good at reading out these situations, but now Immortals has a little bit more comfortable of a take. With just about 14 seconds left, the plant will be able to go down, and it's going to be essentially a full retake now for the Sentinel squad. Not essentially, but absolutely speaking. So, Chemicals, he should have gotten that second kill.
They have numbers.
1000%, but even then,
HP
Sentinels
too.
still trying to make their way through. Oh boy, 3 over towards the top area. Shahzam's going to be able to get the kill back.
Here.
Slow and steady now, Ito. The plant will eventually getting defused, but there you go.
No.
The nano swarm ends up going off, but now there's only one person remaining in that smoke. Shahzam just goes in with the right clicks. It's all too easy. Again, it almost seemed too methodical from Sentinels. As Immortals, again, they all wanted to maintain in that close-up scenario because not too much util was actually into that round. The only person that really had anything going into it was Nature, and he had a good post plant for it. Otherwise, the Immortals team, they really need to be more crowded around that site. They needed to fight Sentinels off of that initial push out of the main area coming out from the mid side. But still nothing of the sort. They wanted to at least take on the 1v1s, but Sentinels didn't make that possible. They isolated them back over towards the mid side of the site, and just like that, that's going to be the round.
I mean, Shahzam was undoubtedly the MVP of that round. Obviously, first just finding the 3 kills to end it all, but right now he was in this position late into the round too, holding down Rafters. He made it impossible for them to actually contest his position and even up the numbers, which is absolutely what Immortals needed. And I think he actually spots Shot Up climbing through those ropes, but he has to once again concede space. This is just par for the course again for Sentinels. They're gonna concede and allow this retake to happen naturally, and it's up to Immortals to try to innovate.
Oh.
Sentinels do it better, don't they? 3 kills already.
Right, we saw the Ares back, right?
Wow.
A little bit of spice, a little bit of variety, but is it really that much variety when we're seeing yet another win from Sentinels potentially? Nature, like I said before, very much impacts fragging, but he's actually made his way back. He's almost near double digits at this point, catching up with the rest of the team. But Genghsta now, last minute remaining on a 1v4, can't really take things up. It's 11-7. As now Sentinels, they're going to take on what would be yet another eco from the boys of Immortals. Sentinels, I said that Immortals did have that chance to really make their way back, but this Sentinels team, they finally seem to be a little bit more cutthroat.
You can't ever count them out. This is why I was always talking that, you know, we can't speak in those absolutes. Sentinels have amazing mental fortitude, and, you know, sure, maybe the stakes of this game aren't as high as they normally are, but they still are going to be trying to bring out their discipline best. And it's really, really kind of showing up to Immortals right now. They look a little bit genuinely confused. This is the first time that pretty much all tournament their HQ has been shut down. And talk about a flashy way to shut them down too. Zombs finds 2. At least Immortals get that spike plant down. But how much further are they even going to get from here?
They need more space, but literally Sinatraa isn't allowing it. Still with the showstopper. I mean, dude. He had to find something. He was still looking around for someone there. And,
like,
yeah, no, he got it back. That was as easy as you can get for Sentinels anyways. But a plant for Immortals, yeah, it did help them out in a sense. They did everything they could to even get it down. But Sentinels with good early control of sight, that was really the thing that made it happen. So, Immortals back on the rifles. Can they fight back? Because at least looking down their line, their ultimates are barely charged up at this point, so there's not going to be too many wild cards going into it. And Sentinels too, still maintaining full control of these sites, and they're still going for a little bit more of a pinch, like this lineup for Genghsta though. He's all the way back in their spawn. This one's interesting. Where's this one going? It's
I
back
want
over
to see you
towards the
fight
B
for
side.
orbs here too, but yeah, let's see where the start ends up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's gonna be a shock for Back Kitchen.
All
Maybe it
right.
felt a bit preemptive.
No way.
Because Shazam is going to be able to easily bounce around it. Of course.
Okay.
That's Sentinels. The innovators, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the innovators.
Well, never mind.
Always finding different ways to die.
I was going to say that.
That's just brutal. That's just it's a little bit too insulting. But in we go. Sentinels, no, they've been definitely on the front lines of the last couple of rounds and can't really say much about it. If anything, it's just mounting so much pressure on this Immortals team to just make these takes so much quicker. And again, that's what ended up isolating their players, at least early on in this round. Shazam still taking down
so
Nature.
good.
There was another person rotating back. And with 50
There's the
seconds
orb.
left, Immortals have no control.
No control, and not even the players to try to get back that control. It seems that they want to finish up towards A here, but when they even get that spike down, their options remain pretty scarce. They have the recon dart off of cooldown at this point, and they're probably going to try to toss the spike over to their jet because that way you can get another point closer to their ultimate, but that's not even going to be the thing that's on your mind, building up those ultimates. It's how can we even up these numbers? They've cut noise once more. Again, the Immortals classic, but time is of the essence. They need to move, and they need to move right now. It's not going to be possible. Sentinels are more than ready. They rotated before they even entered towards A main, and it'll be over in a flash. Sentinels now on 9 rounds are knocking on the door of double digits, and they haven't had any answers. Immortals, they had made this such a one-sided game, it felt like at some points, but this is why you never count them out. 4 in a row for Sentinels. Their money is booming. They're nearly hitting the cap on some of these players. Meanwhile, Immortals are on the other end of things. They're barely scraping by here. Their ultimates are in a little bit of a crappy place. jcstani doesn't have that the From the Shadows coming up anytime soon, and same story with the Bladestorm for Chemicals, so that's a potential weapon out of the picture. But at least that lockdown is something they can look forward to relatively soon.
Let's wait up for the actual take, though, because still Sentinels getting more and more desperate. They're going to try different things. They all boost their way over towards mid.
Wait a second.
Okay, actually, shut taking down Sick. And the Stingers, they're starting to work. Again, Immortals with an absolute curveball, still taking over mid. No one even going over towards bathrooms.
No,
and instead, the Stingers, they're all just working on their favor. Shut up! All alone!
It's flawless!
It's a flawless eco round from Immortals. Hey, throw everything out the window. Whatever notes we have, whatever we've said this far in this game, none of it matters. Immortals somehow able to make their way back into not only this game, but that round was flawless. It's literally what it was. Absolutely perfect. Everyone from Immortals, they just grouped around one singular position. When was the last time we've actually seen Immortals do that? I mean, not once. They've tried to stay in more defaulty positions, maintain lurks, but now the one round that they take an off angle or an off route, it works out. And it's just exactly the one to get at least 12, maybe overtime in the near future, or potentially the map win.
Their ultimates are starting to stack up as well. Feel free to blow them all you want, Immortals. You've earned this one here. Hunter's Fury used, maybe a zoning ult if nothing else.
Ooh.
And that'll be the punishment that we've been looking for from Sentinels. Sick gets the opener. Look at what happens next here, Immortals. This is usually when they kind of calm down the pace a little bit. What I think they're going to do here is completely cut noise, hide as much as they can, and then re-exec A. Because this is usually the sign where Immortals start bringing it over towards B. And look, the rotations are already coming in effect. Sentinels, they fell for this one hook, line, and sinker. A little bit more time off the clock, and Immortals should have this site for basically free. This is so well played by Immortals. Plus, they have the lockdown just to really rub salt in the wound.
You should run.
All right.
You should indeed run over to the other side of the map, Sentinels. That's where everything's going to be taking place. They have lockdown too. Keep that in mind,
Absolutely, that lockdown.
30 seconds left.
At least for the guys of Sentinels, they know that this is a must-win round. Must-win ulti to pull up, but no way. No way. Shazam, the rare miss. And just like that, this round is more more than ready to be taken by Immortals. 2 players remaining now for Sentinels, trying to make their way on site. Chemicals, he gets himself another, and not only that, but the knives get pulled out for the third. Immortals, they pull off the upset, and Icebox is theirs once again here in Challengers. They take the game over Sentinels, and my oh my, do I say they're 1-0 over the boys at Sentinels.
Now's the time to practice these new maps because maybe they weren't the closest wins. It was 13-10 over Xset, but attacking sides are undeniably strong for them. And since they're going to be the ones dictating the pace on this attacking side, you have to have high hopes for them. As we look to start things out here, Immortals immediately just want to burst it up over towards B. Okay, simple as that. Get the spike down, play post plant. Sick will try to punish that with a move out through garage, but he's only going to find the 1 kill, and he backs out safely.
dapr?
Numbers traded back, and dapr is already in for the fight. What in the world is going on here from Sentinels?
Yeah, it was just confusing for dapr, but everyone else on Sentinels, they had full control. So at this point, still 2 players from Immortals over towards mid. Nature, he wanted to be on the front line of the impact, purely because, again, he was already a little bit low on HP. And Genghsta on the back line, still focusing on the spike. Still very much well played by the boys of Sentinels. They quickly make their way on, back over towards that B site. Quick retake, quick round. And now for Immortals, they have to maintain themselves on the pistols. As Sentinels, they have the at least the SMGs, which we're looking at a completely different map than Icebox. I was about to say, like, oh, who knows, right? We could see something massive here from Immortals, just like we saw in map 1. But I think the upset potential, at least on the second round conversions, the percentages, or at least the statistics, get a little bit more muddied. So at least for now, Immortals, they could still just try to frag out one by one. But early on, the setup for Sentinels is very much A-based, with fast rotations coming in towards this area.
And fast kills right behind it. Immortals have traded even so far. Great double peek out to try to trade the
Wait
numbers.
a minute!
And it's doing the trick. This is an eco up mine. And yet they've made it so close. 1v1. And it will end with a whimper, not a bang, as dapr comes out from above with the Ares. Picks up maybe a bulldog, a side grade if you would, considering apparently how nutty the Ares and how much love we've seen for it just today. Sentinels, they will maintain a 2-0, but at what cost? You're not really going to be able to bonus into this third round as a result. He's just really making sure that player is dead. And Immortals, I mean, they drop another round here, but this is still very far from out of the woods for Sentinels. They will buy up, yes, but Immortals will have guns.
Oh, yeah, no, so they'll have guns, of course, because again, the eco just went down, but let's look at it from the wider scale. With as many kills as Immortals actually ended up getting with that round, yes, they didn't end up winning, but in the end, they might just win the battle, because Sentinels now, they have to rebuy everything. Everything has to be repurchased. This team is going to come out of this as if they're getting reset. So with Sentinels having to buy up back the SMGs, actually mostly rebuying up rifles to try to fight off Immortals, just as if they were just done with a bonus. So now Immortals, they win this one out. They're the ones with the momentum. They're the ones with the confidence that can really just tie up this game. And not only that, but an early frag coming in from Nature off of a little bit of a ballsy pick from zombs, but that was just a good off angle. Still one over towards this site. It's going to be shahzam with a massive kill to start things off with the bulldog. Still wants to reposition himself over towards long as Chemicals. He gets himself one. Man advantage now for Immortals as they start to rotate back. There still is awareness over towards the C site with the camera still up. And not only that, but a fast rotation on this site. This could be massive for Sentinels, but they are at a man disadvantage. They have a fighting chance. Sick though, massive flash. Nobody expects it at all. He gets the first pick back. Now has the running back. Still with a flash out, not going to be able to find a kill. Still has a chance in a little bit of time. More damage being taken. The running back is back. shahzam is here to help. Immortals now still down to 2 players. Now there's, again, just trying to maintain the pace with just about 40 seconds left. Although the rotation is good, Immortals maintain the pace.
Such suppressive utility from Sentinels too. Sick bought so much time there and denied Immortals from actually being able to push into the site itself. It's things like that that are going to make the biggest difference when it comes to who's going to snatch away this round, and Sentinels just might do it with this kind of lackluster buy that they put together. They are definitely impressing with it, and right now they have the even tools of the trade. Immortals, they are just being completely collapsed upon. Sentinels, they will extend it into a third, and it was a really good mid-round rotation from Immortals too, but it was single-handedly, it felt like, Sick who held on so long, really. He had to pop his ultimate for it, only got 1 kill, but he tossed out his flash, he tossed out the flame ult. Everything in his arsenal was used just to buy time. That is exactly how you need to play that sort of situation. Immortals, don't force up one more time, but it's more of a half buy here. You know, they're going to have enough to buy rifles into this next round, but I still think they keep their heads high here because they're so close to a number of ultimates.
Oh, oppressive. But again, Sentinels still trying to put on a little bit of pressure early on to the choke points, but Immortals, they slip on by the defense in a sense. A couple of players out garage, but wow.
Oh, God.
That just gets cleaned up on the C site. 2 players make their way through, and not only that, but Sinatraa on the front lines in garage shuts down the take from Immortals. So again, it was an all or nothing take for Immortals, and nothing ended up working out for them. But now they have the rifles back, and still Sentinels, they're maintaining still very much a round-to-round basis in terms of early positions for their defense. It does look like in some rounds they want to have a random focus in one place. Some rounds they want to be a little bit more balanced. This one is a bit more of a balance. They have a fast rotation, 2, 3 fast rotations, if anything, over back towards the B sites, and double coverage of the A choke points. This should be fun.
Fun indeed, but I think Genghsta wants to try to end it before it gets any more scary for Immortals, potentially. Uses that Hunter's Fury right off the rip after tagging somebody with the drone, excuse me. But backs out position before he's able to get hit by it. Well, stay safe for now, Shahzam. Look at these rotates. That's all I can keep my eye on here from Sentinels, is that every time there's a little bit of util, they seem to react immediately. And Immortals can play this to their advantage. They haven't dropped the player yet, and it sucks that they lost a Hunter's Fury, but they still have a decent amount of utility in their arsenal. Obviously, the one to note here, is since we're on his POV, is shot up with the double Leer. Genghsta about to have a recon dart online. They're just going to wait out these cooldowns and try to burst up onto A. Pretty reminiscent of what you saw in Icebox. Only a different site, different setting, but potentially the same result.
Oh. Sentinels, they have 3 in the backside in terms of fast rotation, but even then, Immortals, they can't get control of back sites, but they're still getting the frags back. That's wonderful from Shot Up and Genghsta. Still dapr booting on more damage, but Immortals wins back the site. Sick. Pretty much beaming through the smoke, beaming through garage. Gonna be able to get the kill back. Still Shot Up has to hold on, but zombs isn't long. jcstani still gonna be able to get the plants. Right behind sights, jcstani, we've seen him in this position before, and he could certainly do it again. 1v2 for the man, and he has more or less an idea of where these last 2 could be.
Oh, the timing.
Oh, the timing. jcstani, a massive opportunity, but Sentinels, they shut it down with, again, a very aggressive hold of the C site, because, again, Immortals, they were the ones that really had the first contact on site. They were the ones that ended up crossing kind of that long line right onto site first, so there could have been a little bit of a default plant. The default plant doesn't work. Sentinels, they take the time that really Immortals was taking. Essentially, Immortals was so slow making their way onto the C site. So Sentinels, they have 1 on the flank. They still have a player in garage. They have triple coverage in the back of C. And with Immortals taking their time, they had nobody really watching that cross. Sentinels had that one covered, but Immortals, because of how slow they went, couldn't exactly control it out, but they still made it count at the very end of things.
Immortals haven't given up yet. Their money's hurting a little bit. They will have definitely enough for a buy up right here. It's 5-0. You want to hope that they can get their round started soon. Sentinels. Aggro drone through. Will concede that first kill. So that is massive from Immortals. Now you're probably going to see it look a lot like in this last round, only with a bit more of an emphasis towards garage. But what I want to see them do is keep a player in garage towards the later stages, because that was something Sentinels were able to abuse in last one, and they're doing it again here. Flash through. Sinatraa and Sick will both occupy the area, and Immortals, they watch as the gates just might be open for hell to be unleashed. Genghsta with an amazing kill, though, gets it with the Sheriff. And Immortals improved now to a 5 versus 3. Sentinels, for the first time this game, look surprisingly baffled, lost for words, and unsure of what the answer could possibly be to this question that Immortals have posed.
Cool. I think it's just
Jesus,
multiple
what a
choice.
swing.
It's just true or false at this point. And Sentinels, they don't choose the right answer in a sense. They don't want to save. They want to keep continuing that push. But again, their economy has been very good throughout this half anyways. So still continuing on that run is not that big of an issue. But let's run down again that take from Immortals. It's a huge difference from what happened in the last round. Sentinels, they wanted to fight up that take immediately. Right as Immortals thought that they had more, I guess you could say, control of that site, you had the guys of Sentinels fighting up the first contact. Instead, now Immortals, they were more ready for it. They took more or less that same route, except with a little bit more coverage, with a little bit more spread. That formation ended up totally working out in their favor. And not only that, but Sentinels didn't have the right bodies towards that site, or the same amount of manpower as they did before. So good from Immortals. They try what works. It's almost tried and true at this point, because they were still really close to winning out the last round. But now going forward, you have Immortals in more or less a default scenario with a focus over towards mid.
They can continue to keep this one slow. Immortals really trying to eke out a pick because they have gotten such forward positions without having to spare utility. And meanwhile, while that exchange over towards B was happening, there was an exchange of a Sova for a Jet. So, you know, white hair players going down, and white hair players, I guess, still remaining. Interesting trade here because Sentinels now don't really have that dart to rely on, and plant becomes a lot more permissible as Immortals can't be punished by a crazy shock dart lineup or anything similar to that. Counter smokes will go through as soon as they hear noise from Immortals, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop the inevitable push through. That's a huge kill for Shot to immediately find, but once again, trades are so strong from Sentinels. They keep the man advantage even if it is just by a hair or two. There it is, the spike indeed does get planted, and the punishment for it is going to be lackluster, non-existent. Now Immortals need to find this next kill, which they do. Back evened up here, not mind.
Evened up, shot up on the front lines. Not only that, but the Empress of
That's
Darkness
huge.
is looking to strike, but no, he's getting chased. Wonderfully
That's
looked
so-
out, though. He barely escapes that scenario with dapr. And Genghsta, the man who was looking over towards heaven, not even in a crossfire scenario, he ends up helping out his teammates. So there you go, Immortals, in what has been their most tense situation yet in terms of a post plant. And this time they end up winning it out. So Sentinels, they're the ones up against the ropes. And Immortals, at least now they have control. We saw this in the first map too. Immortals, they were able to get themselves a couple of rounds back with Sentinels slowly whittling down their economy. That's when Immortals finally ended up exploding. Still a couple of rounds back though, Immortals, but have to face on a buy round next, but they need to maintain themselves clean. They've only just recently started winning and their economy is still building. Let's see what actually happens, though, with Immortals playing this one fairly safe.
Whoa.
Yet another default, but the knives don't end up connecting onto Shut Up, so he's just fine. And the rest of Immortals, they're waiting for Sentinels to really rush towards them.
They can play this time game all they want, Immortals. They have such a good grasp on the fundamentals. It's something I brought up a lot yesterday in their game. Oh, and it seems to still be true right here, too. The communication for Genghsta to peek out in that last round was massive. And this is a pretty, similar approach to how Immortals handled this last round, where they kept Shot Up super aggressive, waiting towards B, if nothing else, to kind of bait out Shahzam to just kind of have to hold the line there, force into position. But it finishes up over towards A once more, and Immortals look similarly as good. Against pistols here, Sentinels don't prove to have the best chance, but once again, the trades from Sinatraa and the trades from Sentinel as a whole are just so difficult to play against sometimes. It's unbelievable. But I think once again, Sentinels have managed to almost pull off this upset, at least in this round. They had Stingers to work with, and they might come out on top with Vandals.
Ooh, Shot Up.
Time.
Oh, that wall is going to be huge again. Time for Shot Up as he doesn't even pick up the spike. But again, this is more than lost. Sentinels, they're just delaying so much time as just repositioning away from the back sites. Shot Up has no information at the very end of things, so that is going to be Sentinels back with a round. And again, in eco of all things, Sully. Ito.
No, it's okay, Tanner. I get your name mixed up.
Okay,
too.
Tanner.
Nah, but that really was such an important round when you look at it, because look at how it started. It was a 4v5 in the immediate, but obviously 4v5 for just a moment. Sentinels, I feel like you can always count on them to have very solid trades. It's something that I feel like I consistently need to bring up because it always seems to be ringing true. And around previously that Sentinels put together where there was an execute attempt from Immortals, Sick came around from Garage, was able to exploit it, somehow find a trade beaming through the smoke. It just always seems to be a prophecy that comes true. Immortals down, but most definitely not out in this half. 6-6 is way more possible than I think anyone could truly believe, considering they head into this round with everything that they can muster. You have to keep your heads high. Immortals, they did it on Icebox. Let's see if they can do it on Haven as well. There's actually a push through from a drone. Sick backs off at the last moment. That's such a good move. You can't extend out through. Immortals, they were looking to punish it, but they don't get anything for free.
Yeah, no, still double coverage over towards mid for the Immortals team, but this could be off time.
So good.
But Chemicals does get it onto 6, so there you go. That's at least an opening back, but still barely any information in a sense. But Genghsta, he might have just single-handedly opened up that C site, or if anything, gotten up some noise. Instead, now Immortals, they're still putting onto that A site. And look at this off position. Wait a minute. It's a one-and-done position, of course, but Zombs might only need one. There's nobody else over towards long. He's going to readjust. Shahzam is here on the rotation. Of course, the plate will be able to go down, but Zombs is still over towards long. They need at least some sort of coverage, and the two-man advantage for Immortals has evaporated. Oh, no. Wait. Chemicals. Chemicals. He's about to flank on both players. Gonna be able to get one. Make it two. Massive for Chemicals. But Zombs, the man who was in the one and done, he's not exactly done just yet. Making his way up long. Chemicals trying to get the frag, but a headshot onto him. That's massive for the damage. That's massive for the round, especially if Zombs can get this last one. But there you go. Immortals, right after their economy might have just been taken down in a little bit of a miracle from Sentinels. Immortals takes one back, and they want to maintain things even.
This is why you can never count Immortals out as well. It's a lesson that I've started to learn with this new roster. Mental resilience is something that we talked about Sentinels having down pat on Icebox, but Immortals are now kind of showing them up. Sentinels, they will scrap together another buy here, but the knives play, Chemicals was undeniably huge there. Can you believe this man previously played Sentinels? Well, the actual role, not the team. Like, he has transitioned so well over to Jet, where he looks right at home. Massive Blade Storm will eventually allow Immortals to storm and take a site, take the round, and move up to 3. At 6-6, again, doesn't seem unreasonable at this point, but Sentinels have now adjusted their setup. They've kept Zombs all the way out, lurked towards A long, and they have entrusted him to hold down the site solo. And Immortals will once again spread out their wings, play this default. They have absolutely zero reason not to. It has been probably their best bet so far to find the 3 rounds that they've gotten in their favor, and it might once again work out.
Still double coverage of the A site. This time, it isn't stricken out by at least a fat rotation early on, but there you go. It is going to be actually a double for Sick. Oh my! This time, Chemicals takes one back, but Sinatraa with a Hunter's Fury early on takes down Chemicals, and now Immortals. Barely any space to make their way through, and not only that, but shut up, getting ticked down. 30 seconds left. These players, the best thing that they can do is essentially just back on away. There's a player up in short that's about to get the peek, and Sick, what a round! The off angle and long, it ends up leading to a 3K for him already, but there's still one more for him to aim onto. Make it a 4th for Sick. Sentinels now. They put themselves a little bit more in the driver's seat. As Immortals, they can't seem to really get any wiggle room. No cushion.
Just an eco one by Sentinels has to sting so much after that lovely one that you just pulled off, poached earlier. Immortals, once again, go back to the doom and gloom. Do they have a buy together? Yes, they do, but they do have to take a couple of hits. Nature with half armor and jcstani instead going for the Stinger full armor. Again, it's a gamble that they're taking here. Impress me once, do it again. That's the start you want, and the start that you absolutely need. Zombs is not nearly going to have the space or positioning to try to at least relay some information to his team. At least the Shazam makes up for it, though, beaming one through the smoke. But we have ourselves another really weird situation here, where it's going to be a 4v4 post plant. So much utility still in play.
So much utility, but even then, Immortals, they have the positions right for it. There you go. Double dink onto Shazam, but there's still an explosion out from dapr and Sinatraa. Chemicals is there, though, with a double. Now in comes Sinatraa to dumping on in. Oh my! Both Chemicals and Sinatraa, they end up getting completely thrown off by each other. But Chemicals, what a finish to the round. I mean, he's the new blood, right? Coming into this squad, he needed to absolutely explode to really open some eyes. And with a 13 kill performance thus far in this game, and not only that, but with rounds like that, this guy is absolutely stellar. Still 16 on the other side for Sick, Genghsta on top of 13 at the moment. And Immortals, with rounds like those, you can trust that this team can still knock Sentinels down a peg going into the defensive half.
Final round of the half here. And I think while an ultimate orb won't make the difference between immediately getting an ultimate orb or not, but the ultimate orb plus a kill suddenly have a little bit more tools to play with for this final one. Immortals, there it is, fighting for it. Oh, never mind, it's actually only 1 point away for Chemicals. Insane past couple of rounds this man has had. Another quick play, this time towards C, is going to be the setting, or is it? They're backing off. Playing Sentinels once again like a fiddle. Rotations will be tossed into a state of chaos. What is Immortals' next move here? Because while they do have this Blade Storm to play with, what else do they exactly have that immediately will be useful for them? Dark covers, obviously, are the ones that you want to point out, but you have to imagine the counterplay from someone like Shazam is going to be big. Previously on Icebox, he moved right past the smoke that went down. He went ahead and made that round for himself. Re-exec, I suppose it's going to be up mind.
Oh, absolutely. And looks like Sentinels, they're ready for it in terms of manpower. And Sick, more importantly, that's a 3K farm. Making up fourth. One more remaining along. Sick can get the ice, but Genghsta, such a sticky scenario, and he is not done yet. Okay, even the shock dart's not going to take him down. 14 HP left on Genghsta. He has the classic out. Everyone else is jumping. Sentinels, again, the way that they played that round, super patient to what would be the Immortals contact. It ended up coming down to what would be Immortals. They ended up contemplating the double back. They abandoned the long area. Sentinels, they get a little bit more comfortable, and that could have actually led them to kind of rotate around a little bit more. But instead, they maintained the players on site. And of course, one of the most pivotal players in this game and in this tournament overall thus far, Sick, pops off once again, 4 kills under his belt. And by the time the half ends, he has a 20 bomb.
Jeez. Well-deserved 20 bomb at that. Sentinels will go up 8-4, doubling the point stat of which Immortals have in their favor. Not only is it just 20 kills, but it's the fashion in which he's gotten some of those kills. Massive multi-frag rounds to hold down a site individually. That round right there is just one of apparently many examples. But now having to move on to offense here, it's not the best half Immortals could have posted, but once again, this is their map pick. Surely they have something spicy planned, even if it didn't go their way in the first part. All quiet for now. Immortals, very passive positions opted up here as they've gambled majority of their players over towards A. They'll take a hit and play again. Retake, mostly on every site that isn't called A.
Oh, watch out. Shot up, though, might just get flanked on, and indeed he does. dapr gets the kill, and, well, now Immortals with 3 players left now for this retake. It's definitely quite difficult because you still have that camera up getting all that information. If I'm not mistaken, they still ended up spotting out 2 players in that backlines, if not all 3. And indeed, I mean, even the Jet, who is staying around alongside, even Shazam, he's going to go back all the way over towards Garage. That's all that info being covered up. Even the recon dart is going to ping them once again. But in goes the take. Chemicals wants to push things out. Genghsta now in a 1v3. He ends up getting the 2 kills. So Genghsta going big for a second there. But even then, Sentinels maintaining 2 players alive at the end of things. And again, just the information battle and a little bit scattered of a take over on to C. It made things worth it for them. They win out the pistol round and they find themselves with the SMGs as Immortals. They want to find some sort of way back into this half, but they're certainly not going to start things off here with the firepower.
In this round previously, or in this time previously, I think Sentinels forced up second round. I know we were talking about Icebox, but for this one, they're sticking with the pistols all the way across. So a third round big buy is more than likely what we're going to be looking at here. In fact, almost entirely likely. Unless this shorty can prove to be lethal. Good smoke too to try to help Chemicals get out, but it's such a just well-placed molly where there's just no option to get out for free.
Nature!
What the hell,
Free!
Nature?
There you go!
A freak of nature, dude.
Absolutely!
How can you just do that?
I mean, you gotta be joking me with that one. So, Nature, again, he ends up catching one player who is still checking his angles. And not only that, but the double right clicks work on his favor.
No way!
Genghsta now with another one. Still around the corner. Shahzam has a whole lot of HP. Nature has to back on out. He has full control of the spike. 50 seconds left. More than enough time for Shahzam to really reapproach this one. But Nature, again, like I mentioned before, this impact fragger, this new blood, this absolute legend, could definitely pull it off. Spots a pixel right below the smoke, but now the spike will be able to get taken off that cage from Nature. And no rotation either. Shahzam is gonna go for this, but it's not planted for him. Not planted for Nature, at least.
Oh, they're gonna fight long? Oh no, he's doubling back.
Nature was gonna find up long, still thinking about it. Again, Shahzam, one bullet will do it. A gust of wind will do it. And Nature is gonna get taken down, but great stuff from Nature, still holding up that front line. And we get back to that same exact position from the first half, Ito, where the second round conversion isn't exactly what it seemed to be for Sentinels. Everyone on this team ends up going down except for Shahzam. It ends up coming down to a reinvestment now in this round, and their economy is getting whittled down. Immortals, they now have a massive chance to get some rounds back into this game.
It's absolutely just that. Immortals, for a round that was in a 3v5 almost immediately, somehow just summoned a bolt of lightning to strike Sentinels down with a couple of players. I don't know. Again, some freak nature incident. I can't even understand how his classic does that and mine doesn't. But Sentinels realize what they're going to be up against here. Sure, they're both even on rifles, but that means that they're just going to try to push in immediately, fight blood for blood, fire with fire, and try to get it done right here. You don't want to have this be as even as you can, but once again, Immortals show up with the theatrics as they pull off 4 kills in the matter of seconds.
There you go.
5 to finish it up. Immortals, they move on to 5. And despite Sentinels trying to change the pace, Immortals, they just shut them up and move to just about half of what Sentinels have.
I think it's exactly half, Ito. I know I wasn't the best at math, but 10-5, that seems like half to me. Sentinels.
Good algebra.
Sentinels now. I mean, they have a stellar lead, to say the least, but Immortals, this is what they've been building towards really this entire game. Still tagging on really these close rounds again and again, but it's really Sentinels that keep charging back at them in terms of the round streaks. Now it's Immortals that finally have Sentinels up against the ropes in terms of economy, but they need to absolutely execute. They need to maintain this healthy. It's almost exactly the same mentality that you need to have from the last round if you're Immortals. Because Sentinels now, I mean, they're the ones on the pistols. They're the ones that can do the economic damage. Now let's see what can happen now. Shahzam still on the front lines. Could get taken down before the spike goes down, but no, it doesn't. Instead, now Chemicals on the front lines. Has control of sight. Sentinels, they're all abandoned over towards mid. That Hunter's Fury doesn't do all too much, but instead now it's sick on the front lines trying to hold things out, and that's going to be the defuse. Chemicals gets the kill onto Sinatraa, and now it's just exit frags. Indeed it is. Sinatraa, zombs, dapr, they're all getting kills. So that one just turned awry really at the very end of things. Immortals, instead of being absolutely flawless, within 5 seconds of the round ending, Sentinels actually turns this very possible for themselves. Immortals, look at their economy. It's not too great between Shut Up, Nature, and jcstani.
It doesn't really mean all too much for this round particularly, but if Sentinels win this, I mean, does it? They still have money in...
It means a lot. Because, well, first of all, Sentinels, they're the ones that need to win. Absolutely. Because they're about to get reset too.
I mean, more so, I guess, on the buy reflected. But yeah, the ramifications of it are undeniable. At least both teams have a healthy buy. I suppose that's what it really comes down to. But yeah, I mean, a pivotal round. Something we've said previously, and something I'm going to say again, because that is a pivotal frag. It puts it right square in front of Immortals. Sentinels are saying, come and get it.
6 still. So two of his teammates trying to perch up on that A site again. It's actually a 3-man crossfire of the site. Sick would have to hard clear right side, and indeed he does, but jcstani gonna be able to get the kill.
Huge.
Again, that's massive for Immortals, so not only do they have the 2-man advantage, but now Spike is all theirs. The rotations are going to start to come in back over towards from the B site and the C sites with just about 30 seconds left. There's not much that Sentinels can really pull, but they certainly tried. Dapr emerges from the short area, and he goes down. Sinatraa and Long could have been able to get the kill onto Shot Up, but Shot Up wins the aim battle instead. Now Zombs now in a 1v5, and Nature gets it. Flawless round for Immortals. If I said before that the economic damage could certainly come in now for the long run, well, they maintain it flawless. Everyone maintains the rifles. Sentinels, well, it's down to the SMGs. This is essentially a bonus round for the boys of Immortals.
Yeah, and this is where it really reflects badly. Sentinels in such a tough position right now. They don't have even any more ultimates to make things more palatable. Even if they were put in a great situation, I mean, they're going to have to hope to get it done with stingers. Immortals, now they're looking just to pad their economy a bit more. Keep this one as clean as you possibly can. Don't take any unnecessary fights, which is something that Immortals, mind you, are very, very good at. There's been a couple of scary instances where Chemicals has pushed into smokes, but he has done it with such poise, and it's so calculated, and he was almost thinking about doing it again. Actually, it was jcstani who was thinking about doing it again, but just layers upon layers of executes and frags. Immortals stay strong in this round. Sentinels on the back foot.
Sentinels on the back foot. Zombs still certainly getting a whole lot of damage over towards the mid side. Zombs, if he certainly wanted to, could get a little bit of a spam, and indeed he does, but it's a little bit off put. Instead, it's going to be Genghsta at the end with a kill onto Zombs. Only 2 frags going back for Sentinels. And again, that approach from Sentinels, it was, again, yet another one of those gambles that you usually see in those eco rounds anyways, where they just try to put all of their effort over towards one spot. Still tried to spread around a little bit for some off-angle kills, and it certainly did work to an extent. But now Immortals, they have to face on what would be their hardest challenge yet, with Sentinels really trying to get them their way back into this game with the rifles. And really early on, Immortals, they were about to do a little bit more of a stack over towards the B/C area, but instead it's actually going to be split util coming in from the Cypher.
Interesting split, but they're covering all their bases here. They don't want B to be threatened early, so a tripwire there will at least give them some information if it does get eventually overtaken. Just a couple of seconds can make all the difference. Immortals have definitely shown how to hold down B. Just, again, player after player flooding in, seemingly finding if only one kill for their trouble. It's a numbers game that Immortals can play.
Yeah.
Sentinels have to respect it, and they have to respect this space that Immortals have fought for really hard. Chemicals, he was holding down the line with the operator over towards A long. He won't get any action for now. It's going to be Shot Up who sees a majority of the action, but he'll back up. Again, no unnecessary fights necessary. Sentinels, I mean, for now at least, they get a lot of free map control. This is about the time where Immortals start to strike.
Oh, jcstani getting banged out by the shock darts, but even then, there's still attention for Immortals for the retake back. There you go, Shot Up off the Empress. Gonna be able to get 2, make it 3.
Oh.
No, Sick gets it back. Still looking over towards the smoke. Chemicals with the updraft gets 1. No, it's Zombs. Oh, there you go. Zombs, after Immortals gets on an absolute streak of rounds, goes for a wide swing and catches both players totally off guard. Chemicals tried his hardest. Same thing with their teammate, just running out, still just trying to gun their way back on site. They had a man disadvantage, then turned it into an advantage. But at this point, Sentinels, they still have a chance to just close out this game. Immortal still has the economy to counteract, though.
They'll piece together another full Vandal buy, but this is the pinnacle of gun rounds right here. How important this is. Sentinels quite obviously want to try to fight, get match point right here before it gets any bit more scary, any bit more dicey for them. This initial frag could really decide everything. Chemicals is playing with fire here, playing with dangerous chemicals if you would. But it's a fight. He feels at least somewhat justified in taking. He goes down to very low HP, and that will prompt Sick to push in with his run it back. Gets one kill, and that is going to be the finish on the Chemicals. And there it is, appearing in the kill feed over and over. It will be Sentinels. There is a bit of a strike back from Shot Up, who gets two. The round's not done yet. Immortals still have some fight in them yet.
Genghsta needed that shock dart. At least an opportunity for at least a little bit of damage through that smoke, but now it's a little bit tighter because Sick now has a very optimal angle off of a crossfire too in hell. Not only that, but there's a player just focused up on heaven. dapr waiting up for a dart, but instead it is going to be Genghsta that comes out. And that's the round. Sentinels now have map points here on Haven because, I mean, man, Immortals, I mean, that was really their first real streak of rounds thus far in this game, and they really made it count. Sentinels, they needed quite the clutch to make their way back, but now they look quite organized because that A take was as swift as you can get.
It absolutely was. The run it back was used at the perfect time to really force Chemicals into basically an unwinnable situation. He dashed out there. That was a safe move, but they eked him out, and then they took out his escape route too, excuse me. And then just a flurry of smokes just to make things more difficult for everybody who wanted to at least have some sort of semblance of hope to trade him through. Immortals definitely down, but not out. They'll piece together everything they can here, and a very aggressive camera is actually really unique from nature. I don't feel like I've seen this one for a while, but it is good. It does spot out and get the dart onto one. And how do Sentinels respond to this? They still group up. Is this going to be another quick plant for them? It doesn't seem like it. They realize that, hey, this is usually the cue for Immortals to start pushing through, and this is usually when they find a couple of free frags. So they'll bring it towards C, and this will be a lot more of a palatable situation for them, because they only allow Genghsta to find one, and they're able to take fights at their own volition. Maybe jcstani has something to say about it, Upmind.
Oh, certainly so. Still up on the front lines. It's actually going to be Nature with that first, or at least with that first drop. Now 3-on-2 for Sentinels. They turn a man disadvantage to an advantage, but now in comes Shot Up with a frag. He's going to be able to dismiss, but Sinatraa gets the kill back. Make it a third for Sinatraa. So there you go. Immortals with a tall task and really catching up some steam. Sentinels, they shut them down in the end, and they make this set.
Shine, I think, also
it's a very versatile character, and I mean, really the one question that we had going into this game was between the Brim and the Omen. So kind of good to see at least that kind of be scrapped away for now, that entire idea that, especially with the earlier game against Serenity, no more shocks, no more surprises. But yeah, this one could definitely be affected in a sense by how tight some of these sites can be and how much control that breaches can take that early on.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to the deciding map here. When you look at it, zoom out a little bit, you can just think about, maybe it's, again, not the biggest game in the world, but Immortals have already done it so far, have already impressed me. I want to see if they can continue on map number 3 for this seeding game. Who goes to the grand finals? Immortals come out swinging with 2 kills to start us out on Ascent. And how do Sentinels respond? With a quick A take. So Immortals now will be a little bit on the back foot after losing this frag in particular. But jcstani won't let anything slip by for free. That's a bomb carrier situated, and they'll have to pick it up, get that spike down, but it's going to be a lot more threatened now. The Immortals look to take number 1.
Yeah, no, good take. At least from Immortals over towards mid. Again, it's just a shot in the dark. It's just a Hail Mary. And again, they succeeded at least in getting their early frags. And just like that, it's Chemicals. He opened up the round with the frags in top, and not only that, but he continues his warpath on the A side. That's going to be Immortals with a slick pistol round win.
Beautiful way to start things out here. Sentinels, it was a nice call and response what they tried. It was really, I think, the interesting thing to keep your eye on there is, yeah, look at, you can see how they really try to contest top mid early, but it's a fight that they're really hoping went their way, and the fact that it didn't, I mean, this is kind of the natural result. They have to try to make some sort of reactive play work, and it was a stack towards A. It's beautifully counterplayed by Immortals. That is, once again, I think the fundamentals that are proving true to them. Very active and It's the perfect way to start out. Perfect recipe for success, if you would.
Oh, and Immortals, they're cooking at this point, but Sentinels still messing around with a little bit of split, although, again, their economy is a little bit oh my god, although it is a little bit ineffective, ultimately, if they do get into these tight battles that Immortals are wanting to take. But in we go, Sinatraa actually with a classic, able to combine with his teammates to take down jcstani, but Genghsta with a hit and run snags one back. So now with a 4-on-4, and Zom still on the lurk at least, there's still a little bit of a chance to create some space, but he ends up getting spotted out. So still Sentinels, no contact, no control just yet, but this A site might be their best option. There's barely any util, and this one contact in Cat could really open things out if they can win it over Chemicals.
Quiet for now. Chemicals, is he one to give up a frag like that? He's already put up his Blade Storm, and then some as well. Kind of overdoing it if you want a Blade Storm to play with your Chemicals. He's
still going
himself, dude.
30 seconds left.
He's still going. This man is at least bloodthirsty. He's looking to stat pad. I mean, he saw us talking about players with 40 bombs and whatnot. He wants to be a part of that club, to say the least. He starts off the game with an absolute banger, almost reaching double digits, and we're only 2 rounds in. Huge stat pad in a sense for Chemicals, but is it really that big in the long-term sense? No, not that much. Sentinels, they do have the rifles back, but Immortals, certainly a whole lot more confident.
It's those morality plays, the things that boost your ego that I think is going to be really important. Chemicals, again, this man started out as mainly a Cypher player when he was on SOR, but he really does feel so comfortable on Jet. Utilizing the kit right there, it was just some nice sharp shooting, and well, kind of like I mentioned previously, knives brought out for round number 3, so it is a bonus, as we've said previously, but they have a little bit more spice added in. Great counter flash from Sentinels will retake that A main control, so Sinatraa stays clean. And right now, Immortals, their next move here is going to be not trying to give up an inch further if they can. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect maybe a counter smoke deeper into A main to try to retake a bit more control of it. But it's a deep smoke towards A main, if nothing else. Interesting position Immortals find themselves in right now, because I don't think they go for a flash and dash. But they need to eke out a pick here. It's so important.
No, absolutely. Especially with the heavy cat control. I think if Sentinels snag one back, it will be massive. Same thing with Immortals. This is a round-defining battle. And jcstani at least is going to win the next one out. Chemicals on his own.
Amazing.
Gets another one. So there you go. Like I said, round-defining is now Immortals. They have more control. And Sentinels, they start to get desperate and hold their way forward. Still dapr remaining in a 1v3. This man, again, has been an absolute legend for Sentinels in the past in terms of clutches. And he could do it again. You know, only has really one angle to watch after this one. Nature misses on the spray, but pulls out the frenzy. The sidearm gets it. Ito, that was the bonus, and now Immortals, they're rolling in cash and rolling in rounds.
Absolutely amazing, the conditioning there from Immortals. Threatening A main constantly, had a crossfire ready if Sentinels tried to make that into a burst or straight up execute, excuse me. But they had their bases covered because as soon as it was a little bit more abandoned, they kept Chemicals to watch over as, you know, the kind of guardian of A main, if you would. And then they moved a majority of their players to help out towards Catwalk. It was a great contact play from there, and it works out perfectly. Another round in their favor, and like you said, it's the bonus. They're going to have a very healthy buy, and Chemicals can start working on yet another Blade Storm, already having one down.
Take flight.
Enemy drawn over.
Ooh.
Oh, wait, the tag. Does he Hunter's Fury this? I don't think he does.
Yeah,
oh my god, he does. That's
I mean,
actually going to be
really
huge.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's really no other point to that owl drone, especially with it being so situational in a sense, other than to get it down for a Hunter's Fury. So there you go. Massive contact in terms of information, but Sentinels, they still have players around to try to help out off the take. And there you go. Shahzam starts things off with a kill onto Chemicals, just beaming through the smoke. Still Immortals has one in the back lines. Nature has to hold things down essentially on his lonesome, but never mind. Immortals, they have stairs control, and now dapr is down to a 1v2 once again. And this time, he has the full positional control and time on his hands. He's out of there.
But you have to remember, only Stinger in his grasp right now. Sure, he'll have the entire site to himself, but he still needs to try to continue to innovate after he gets this one planted. Nature is bleeding internally, low on HP, only 8 to his name. So that makes it a lot more comfortable for the Stinger. But as the spike gets planted, dapr will probably now remain in his camera position. He has a nice amount of HP, where he can probably, if nothing else, try to, I don't know, optimize his position, but surely Immortals trade themselves out here. Well, they even spot the camera as well. This is going to be huge for dapr. Got to be huge.
Oh, absolutely. That's very much a one and done angle, but still so much space to actually work with. I mean, it's almost impossible that anyone would check this, but Immortals, they're still saying very wary. Oh, there you go! dapr gets the peek on in time. Nobody's watching out for him. He uses the element of surprise to give Sentinels around back. In again, I mentioned the Hail Mary factor to this team. They invest so much into it. And dapr, 2 attempts at a clutch. He succeeds the second time. And this time, Sentinels, they have a way back into this game.
Such a cheeky angle that he was playing. Immortals, I think they played that safely. They grouped up and again were playing for the trade. They allowed Nature to make contact first because he was the low player. But it's just the sheer audacity for dapr to hold that angle is so... It's wild, quite honestly. Did I say dapr? I meant dapr. We'll start with dapr. But... wow, that was really big from Sentinels, but that doesn't mean Immortals, again, are going to try to give up for this round. They still have another buy in them, plus the frag to their name. Only a couple of seconds into this mess, Immortals are right back into it.
And again, not much space being made by the boys of Sentinels either. But there you go. Right as I say that, they try to make their way out towards the A main area. And shahzam wins out his battle against genghsta. And dapr all alone takes down chemicals. Huge now. The Sentinels, I mean, they essentially bide their time. They play patient to try to get a couple of frags. And indeed they do. And those are the openings. jcstani down to 7 HP. He was already down to 40, but... a couple of wall bangs restricts him even further. He's on the save already, and I wouldn't be surprised if Immortals purely tries to go for a couple of exits here. Is now shot up. If he actually commits to this, he could potentially have eyes on the cross.
I think at this point, yes, they do enjoy maybe a save or two and enjoy a nice, bit of a healthier economy for this next round. It's a 3v4, so it's not going to be the flashy way out, but it definitely is the safest. Immortals, they concede that one for now, but considering how many players they keep alive at the end of it, I think a rebuy is not only expected, but really it's just the right move to do here. Players can drop a Bulldog if they feel like it. Chemicals doesn't quite have another Blade Storm available. Maybe a fight for the ultimate orb would be worth their trouble. Or not. They have Vandals in play. Who cares about that? genghsta, I think, will take a small hit, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
yeah,
Immortals, it's that old dynamic in a sense with ecos and force buys where, again, you don't have too many options. Best thing that you can do is just try to force up to the best of your ability, whether that means sacrificing util for firepower and vice versa. So at this point, Sentinels, they're actually starting to stay a little bit more quiet in this round, a little bit more isolated, more defaulty here, Ito, because, I mean, Immortals at this point, they saw the economy. They know what their economy is at. They are the ones that really want to get desperate and really want to force out the situation. So if anything, Sentinels is playing this one out just right at the right pace, where Immortals, I mean, they haven't really been playing all that aggressive. So again, that may just be the conditioning in a sense, but Sentinels, they're certainly holding back just in case one of those players goes for a cheeky peek. And indeed, we do see one over towards mid, shot up. There was one person watching over towards top mid, but again, nothing of the sorts, as Immortals actually, they're just going for a gamble rotate back over towards A, or at least some of the players have abandoned control, and there's only one player on site for them to clear out. And Chemicals is actually here to try to help out. One up close, it's going to be Sinatraa. Genghsta now with a Hunter Sphere going to try to help out. Nature still in the back of sight, like I mentioned before. What is Sinatraa doing? Still going out forward, right into the rotating hands of Immortals, but that's big from Sick. One last person remaining. It is Genghsta, who ended up getting himself a frag with that Hunter Sphere, and he's the lone man with a stinger. He has a mission, though. Immortals. It would be a massive win for the team going forward, but Genghsta now knows that there's one at least up close. That shock dart not exactly going to connect all that deep, but he's still going to have to clear out that angle. Spike ticking down little by little. And no bullets. He's surely biding his time for a player that just has to get a 1v2 over with, but Sick has the angle anyways. Gonna be 3 kills for him, and there you go. Sentinels, they've tied up the game 3-3, and now Immortals, they have to think a little bit more economically sound. The last one, they still had more of a bonus, so they're still going to be able to buy up, but Sentinels, they're finally looking good in terms of their takes.
Patience is a virtue, and it was so noticeable in that round from Sentinels. Again, it's something you kind of mentioned during the mid-round lull of that one, is that I like that little bear that they show off. But they really are playing a bit more passive, very comfortable with maybe allowing some of the fights to be initiated by Immortals. Sentinels eventually obviously collapse it into a round of their own, but also very patient in that 2v1, not even trying to bother with an ego peek because they've been stung, hurt so many times. Exchange of utility over towards A main for good measure, and this is a pretty, I mean, it's different structurally, but it's the same intent once again from Sentinels. Defaulting out. No reason to try to change or really make things all too unique.
Right.
The fights will inevitably come to them. Immortals, they're getting a little bit antsy. But Shot Up has the discipline to not try to take this super aggressive peek, and apparently if he does, it's going to be cool and calculated, and he'll get out without any further hitches. That is a great start for Immortals. No way he goes for seconds.
No
he goes
way.
for seconds!
There you go. Shot Up opening up the round. And again, quite late fashion in a sense. Still 40 seconds left in the round. Most of the players left for Sentinel still over towards the A side, but they don't even have Spike. Chemicals go open this up all by himself once again. This Jet on Chemicals has been so clean thus far, and he's going for it again, throwing out a couple of knives, but Shut Up is there for the trade back, and Chemicals doesn't even go down for his troubles. Instead, now it's going to be Immortals off of Shut Up's beautiful individual and slow and patient play in mid to really open things up. Not only that, but now Ito, Sentinels. The fact that they've been, you talked about conditioning from Immortals. Now it's conditioning from Sentinels. How they've been really grinding out the clock to the very last second, almost every single round. This time, Immortals, they don't give up any of their sights. They don't stack up anything. Instead, they maintain the same default setup that they did at the very beginning of the round. That's well done in terms of patience from Immortals. And now, they still have a chance to extend their lead, something that, again, they unfortunately lost earlier on. Shot Up goes for it again, but Shazam with a good frag back, still checks Cat, and no peeks out for it. Immortals now down a man.
They were expecting the trade there, and, well played by Sentinels. That smoke actually blocks off any, again, early trade attempt. So now the positions, the defaults, have to be slightly swapped up here. Neural Theft will be used to locate the positions, and they find out it's a 2-2 split. The move here from Sentinels, I would imagine, is try to take some sort of semblance of CT control. Counter smoke through, and Genghsta realizes that potential is there. Hunter's Fury used as a result too. This is getting really, really messy at this point. Next kill should decide so much. It goes the way of dapr. Sick, also for good measure, picks one up in favor of Sentinels. Immortals on the back foot once more.
But watch out, Nature still has to maintain sight, but he actually goes for an early pick onto Shazam, but again, he goes down himself. 1v3 for jcstani, and
Spike planted.
a tall, tall task indeed. That, again,
Flashbacks.
I don't really expect this man to actually go for. Yeah, it's exactly a flashback.
I think in that round, though, is very, very important. Just it feels really important for Immortals to pull that one off, because one thing that we talked about heading into this matchup was that calculated aggression. And if they can condition Sentinels to always be worried for that sort of thing, Well, they'll have at least an edge to play off of. Sentinels quickly seem to realize what Immortals, what their game plan is looking like. So they trade out shot up before he's able to dismiss away once more, excuse me. So they stop him from being able to pull off that 2K for starters, but also on reaction after taking out shot up, they expected to trade, so they smoked off Cat immediately. Small little movements and adjustments like that are going to make a world of difference for Sentinels as they once again even things up. Immortals, I don't exactly know what the move for them is going to be here, considering it is a bit of a strange buy. One's going to have to take a hit and buy up the Stinger, but it will be rifles for the most part. Maybe Genghsta having to sacrifice some utility. It's a rough situation they're in right now.
Oh, real tough. Because now Immortals, with at least what Sentinels have been pulling off the last few rounds, they are actually targeting a little bit more towards a central area. There's 3 over towards that B side at the moment, with a whole lot of awareness over towards that mid side. But like you mentioned before, that A site still gonna get banged out early, and not only that, but it has to be a full retake, isn't it? With the smoke up and Sick actually getting exposed. Whoa,
that's huge.
Wait a minute. And not only that, but the lockdown early on. It gets pulled out, and Sentinels, they're not even abandoning. They're still fighting this with Sinatraa. He's gonna get stuck in this, and they know that he's here. He was the one that just pulled out the darts. There's a couple of players over towards main too, and there you go.
Wow.
I don't know how that even happened, but Immortals, they faced on that first contact for Sentinels head on. Although the smoke ended up going up, they still just kept spraying on bullets. And if anything, Sentinels, it was just unlucky in terms of the kills that they ended up taking on, or the deaths that they ended up taking on. But then after that, it was Immortals that they already had a plan. They wanted to stay safe from that A site. They wanted to retake for a reason. They had the lockdown. It's as easy as that. Nature places it down. Sentinels wants to fight it purely because they're at the man advantage, and Immortals takes it out at the end of things. Yet another round advantage for Immortals. We've seen the two teams trading out rounds for the past 4 rounds, but at this point, I think we have either a tactical or a technical pause, because really, both of these teams need it. It's very high intensity in a sense, or some things might not just be working out in their favor. And indeed, it's a tactical pause. Listen to this for Immortals.
They just got off of a crazy round that was flawless, so their eco is a little bit.
Well, think about it too, right? I'm sorry. I know that the mental side might be a thing, but look at their ultis. They don't have really anything solid to do any of those crazy retakes with.
It's at that point that you start thinking about, do they fight for ult orbs? I mean, I know the lockdown was big in that round because it isolated Sinatraa in the bottom of sight, but I think Immortals, I mean, they got that into a 5v3 before they even popped it. I think it's very reactive what they went for there, because what I saw was Sentinels, when they tossed out that smoke and Sick went to go close the door, they were hopped in the smoke already. It's calculated aggression once more that I think made a really big difference. And that's not something that you need to rely on ultimates for. Sure, again, that lockdown was massive, no doubt about it. But I think Immortals at least have the right idea of what threads to pull on in order to maintain some of the success.
Oh, Chemicals. Earlier we saw shot up.
Jeez.
Really trying to fight out that position, but this time Chemicals wanted that first contact. Not exactly successful. He goes down in terms of HP. Sentinels at least with an inkling of that information, but Genghsta, he has the ace in the hole. He has the Odin combo through the wall, gonna be able to get a little bit of damage in too. Shut up, waiting for a player to swing out, and instead he forces out the interaction for first bullet right off of the swing, and he's able to get the kill from it. Sick with a fake rolling thunder, and Nature with a flick back, able to hold back on towards the cat side. Still 2 more players here, and jcstani comes in essentially out of nowhere off the rotate, and Sick, I mean, he could have definitely used that rolling thunder for the A take. He used it for a fake instead, and Chemicals off the jump peak takes down Sick in mid. This turned from an incredibly even round to Immortals systematically taking down Sentinels. It's 6-4 now. We're Immortals, they're rolling in the cash, and Sentinels, they're reeling.
jcstani, Okay, no, Immortals as a whole, incredible, phenomenal positioning right there. And let's now go ahead and zoom in on jcstani, how he rotated towards Cat at the perfect time. He was mainly there as insurance, I feel like, but he peeked out a little bit too wide. Not that that's a problem, because he sprayed down 2 as a result. Sentinels left flailing about. I'm loving this from Immortals right now. This look, again, that calculated aggression looks so nice on them. And Sentinels have to change up their approach. Before they were pushing out through A main as one unit. Now they're trying a bunch of different angles. But with the pistols, what can you expect other than a massacre? Another flawless. If Immortals were struggling a little bit before economically, right now they are rolling in it. They have Gucci, they have Louis Vuitton, everything right now. They have everything going their way, except maybe the ultimates, but even then, they're close to a number of them.
They know I got that Gucci, that Louis, the bar logo.
Hey, yeah.
Oh my.
It's
oh
great
my.
news, man.
Immortals, they are fully set up for themselves. Now going into this last round of the half. And now, folks, Sentinels, one last stand in a sense for the half, especially because now they finally have the buy back. And Sentinels, they're not going for their more scattered approaches they have been before. This time, it's almost all in towards the B side. And there's realistically only 2 people here that can help out. This is a massive opportunity for Sentinels. Ooh, look at that information from Genghsta.
No dart needed, and it's still huge. Shot up. He has to not be caught out of position here, but he is. It all is going to come down to Genghsta to hold the line. No, there's already a push through from jcstani. Again, the calculated aggression. Their gunfights need to go their way here out mine. And they are!
Unreal! Again, Sentinels, again, they wanted early pressure over towards that back spawn entrance of B, but it didn't work out in their favor. So instead now, it's Sinatraa, the legend here for Sentinels, to try to hold back the line. He's in a 1v2, he has an Odin, and he's gonna go down! No way! Nature peeks on out, and he takes him down for an 8-4 scoreline going into the next half. I mean, Immortals, yes, they've had a very successful Ascent side thus far in this tournament, but who expected this? Sentinels down 4 rounds going into the next half, but that's really the gold of the pistol round, or just the fresh half in general. That 4-round streak can evaporate in a second, but you gotta appreciate this from Immortals.
And if you thought their defensive end, was good, it doesn't get much better for Sentinels into the second half. I'm looking at the stats right now at Mind. They had a 9-3 posted against Cloud9 Blue, a 10-2 against Big Frames. I can throw these numbers at you all day if I wanted to, but the thing that you really should be taking from it is this suits perfectly Immortals' style. And it's preemptive and it's too early to tell, but I think this is a wonderful situation that they found themselves in. Moving into this next pistol, frenzies for so many players here. Ghost in for a good mix, and Immortals sneaking up through mid uncontested.
Oh, here we go. Again, just a reminder. Sentinels, they have a 68% round win rate here on the defensive side of Ascent thus far in this tournament, and they don't want to let go of this lockjaw hold of this B site. What a rotation, what a hold. Everyone from Immortals, they funnel on in, and that's going to be Sentinels taking back the pistol round in a flash.
Respect where respect is due there. Again, they just took it in an instant. They're talking, hyping up Immortals for good reason after posting an 8-4, and it was tied 3-3 at one point, but yeah, to harken back about what you just said, funneled into the site almost forcefully, and considering that Immortals had a lot of map control going their way because of that split they pulled off, it's crazy that it seemingly ended so quickly. So Sentinels should be able to convert this second one by all means, but never count Immortals out. The pistols in tow could prove to be lethal. Once again, they'll cut noise. Spike is down, located outside of B. Grabbing the orb uncontested, but also keep in mind of the fact that there's 2 players situated by A. So whatever you see here, there's probably going to be a bit of downtime before an actual execute begins.
It is still Immortals trying to decide where they even want to go, where they want to target. They do have at least one challenge over towards mid if they want to get that crossover. At least from Genghsta, but they're actually going to make a little bit of noise over towards A main and picking up that orb and a smoke over towards mid too. With 45 seconds left, they're leaving Sentinels guessing, but it almost seems like the one logical way that they want to go is over towards B main. There's two over towards this area. One holding out in terms of the first peek out, and not only that, but there's one in the back of sight. Essentially playing anti-flash and anti-take most likely. But in we go.
What is
Sinatraa,
this?
there you go. What a jump. Against the pistols, they got no chance. Shahzam gets the last two, and Sentinels, they maintain the SMG round for themselves flawless. So going into their bonus, Immortals, they at least want to get around back here in the half, because Sentinels, they actually starting to get a little bit more aggressive even.
I mean, you can look at this. How can he not say it's aggression? This man looks at a crowd, fully blinded crowd, of course, but he just feels totally comfortable going in. It's trust. And 6 flash right there, that was massive. And I was going to say, Sig had to be massive here, but I thought he would have to frag out. I didn't think he'd necessarily just have to set out a flash and allow the rest of the work to be done by another teammate. But it's a good look for Sentinels. 8-6 right now, nearly evened up. This first gun round is going to be massive, and it is a massive frag for Chemicals. We begin on a good note. But that isn't exactly an indicator of it, whether the round's over or not.
No, not
Immortals,
exactly.
They want to immediately execute here, don't they?
No, not exactly, but that's purely because Sentinels, they still have a lot of pressure over towards that A site. So instead now, with Immortals still
so
crowding
good.
around, they would need to clear out that cat site to really make things worth it in terms of that early frag. And indeed they did. Sentinels, all 2 players towards that A site, they both go down with ease.
Right here.
So Sentinels knocked down a peg. 2 players remaining now in a 2v5. Chemicals looking for something a little bit cheeky too, right as the smoke goes up, and there you go. Indeed, it's as cheeky as you can get. 3 kills for Chemicals in the round, and I just want to get a stat line check, because I think he already hit the 20 bomb earlier, but no, he just hit the 20 bomb. So everyone else is struggling behind him. The closest player behind him is Sinatraa at 11. Chemicals is almost literally in a league of his own this game.
I mean, it passes the eye test and obviously passes the stat test. Sentinels, they will be saving what they have, but it's not much. It's out operating in Shahzam's hands. That's the only gun that they'll be having into this next round, assuming he doesn't get chased down, just immediately demolished in a second. No, he will hold on to it. A buy around this seems likely. It seems, yeah, okay, they're going to stick with the idea here. Stinger for Sick. I think right now what I'm hoping to see from Sentinels is if there's pressure from Mortals, maybe don't exactly, you know, commit Sinatraa to have to wide peek into 3 people when there's a flash, because maybe it won't go as well as it did previously against pistols, but that was a great flash that they can play off of. Sick, you can trust him to blind a couple of players, and I think that's what they should be trying to rely on. Set up flash plays. Oh, that's
Again,
a huge tag, actually.
No, massive tag. He does go back, though, and even more important tags for Sentinels, actually. They get a whole lot of information over towards the mid side. Back in arches, but yeah, I mean, still in this round, it's very much expected that Sentinels would buy out. Last round was just their bonus anyways, so going into this one, they need the early frags. They need the entries more than anything, because that's what's really leading Immortals, at least over towards the first half. That's really what gave them more than the advantage. You didn't see Immortals in too many clutch situations, and Sentinels, I mean, of course, it's fresh for their defensive half, but they at least need to win out what Immortals is trying to isolate into the 1v1 duels. But in we go, at least, with Immortals still laying around that A site. And look at the amount of util. Look at the manpower on this site, too. It's a preemptive rotate purely because of the information being picked up outside of B main. This is a massive read from Sentinels. But Immortals making their way through. They're making it entertaining. Shot Up gonna get one back.
Huge.
Oh, Shahzam, he absolutely needed one back. But Shot Up all by himself. He's the instigator. He's the fragger. He gets himself 3. And now, Sentinels left on the back foot with only 2 players once again. Hello, Sick, though, gets a little bit more damage. Sinatraa, this is now possible. 150 now in terms of HP. He can still approach, getting blasted through the smoke still. Gets the kill back onto jcstani. Relatively low HP on the other one, but this is still very much an even 1v1. Sinatraa, we saw him with an opportunity for a 2v1 earlier. He could succeed now. Finds the player. He's actually going to pull out the up. Hello, Bogdan's Law. Does he pull it off? Jumping in. What on earth was that kill? Does he have time? Oh, indeed he does. That's amazing from Sinatraa. Unreal. What was that shot at the end? Sentinels, they have a fresh breath of life in this game.
I don't have words. You have to let that one stew for a second, because Sentinels just somehow pulled off a 3v5, I think it was. Shot Up was the hero of the first half of that round, and apparently the late protagonist, Mr. Fourth Quarter in his own right, Sinatraa. No, I'm sorry. You know, that's too right. I can never take that title away from Shanks, but God, what a late round. What a late performance to just completely pop off in that round. Unbelievable. So many ultimates nearly online. One thing I want to mention real quick. Sure. I think an ultimate orb would be massive to have here.
For which team, though? For which player, though, more importantly?
I was gonna say maybe on Shot Up, just because he's been so insane every time we've seen him, and maybe just that Empress would help him out, but the Hunter's Fury, surely.
I'm gonna counteract you here. Nature, he's 1 away from actually picking up the lockdown, so who knows at this point what could be pulled up. But again, unbelievably speaking, you still have that op back for Shahzam, still ringing out true. But oh man, look at the amount of damage being done. Sinatraa already down to 1 from that nano swarm. No, that again, very deep nano swarm, and it ends up hitting at the right time. And now Sentinels,
now they have the lockdown
down to a 2-on-3, and indeed they do. The lockdown's about to go down as Nature is going to restrict these Sentinels players to commit. Actually, they're still going for this. 1 in short.
The aftershock is huge.
The aftershock's not going to hit, though. That was so close. So close to actually hitting that lockdown, though. What a great idea, but it doesn't connect. Now it's a 2-on-2, though, with Sick taking out Chemicals. Watch out for JC standing on the front lines right behind the smoke. The 2 players might actually be backing out, though, with time ticking away, and they're looking for the exits off this crossfire. That's a very good idea.
1 enemy remaining.
They can find all the kills they want, but this round is Immortals. I just cannot believe it. That round was beautiful from Immortals. Not going to say immaculate, because they eventually do drop all their players, but who cares when you have the massive number up top still working? Actually, Immortals might care. Their money is not quite in the best place in the world. Genghsta and Nature, I think, are going to have to take some hits economically, whether they want to do half armor rifles or Stinger, probably in the case of Genghsta. So yeah, it does matter that they drop those players there, but they really worked the B site for so long there, and you have to have so much respect for it. You're talking about how the ultimate orb could have been really good on Nature, but he got it naturally anyway after getting the spike planted. So many great moving parts there for Immortals, as now they have even more to play with. Hunter's Fury is going to be the first of the tools of the trade.
Oh, but Chemicals out for blood again, this time looking for a double kill, but that's a massive rolling thunder that doesn't connect onto Shut Up, and he's safe. Genghsta is here to help out too. How on earth did they survive that entire onslaught? It's Shut Up essentially on his own with cover fire from his comrades. Immortals now at 11, and Sentinels down to pistols again.
How do they do that, man? The Rolling Thunder maybe was a couple of inches off, but look at this dismiss. Right on cue, he dodges it. Something straight out of the Matrix, although instead of bullets, it's apparently tremors. And then he'll finish things off with a gorgeous 3K of his own. We were hyping up Chemicals before, and definitely well-deserved, sitting at 21 kills. But as of late, it has been Shot Up, shutting me up, and shutting Sentinels up as well. A very expensive round when it comes to utility, because they have to use a Rolling Thunder as well as the Blade Storm from Chemicals. But they still have in case they feel like it, the Empress as well as from the shadows. That could be good if they want to try selling a fake. If perhaps it gets a little bit scary in the late round situation, they could do a full rotate. Options are still very much there for Immortals, but they might not even have to bring out any of those, those trump cards simply because, I mean, the artillery is so night and day. And hey, even with the knives, their best chance yet, they get taken down by chemicals.
What? What on earth is this? No, you would never even expect one person to be here. They actually have two for the double coverage.
Oh,
this
no
could be
way.
massive for a couple of frags. Oh, wait, what? Why would you ever check that angle? I would be molding right now if I were sick. Who would ever check that angle? That is insane. 4v2 now. Sinatraa takes down one in terms of shot up, and I don't know what to think anymore. Chemicals now gonna be able to get yet another one for his kill tally. And ladies and gentlemen, Immortals now 1 round away from taking down the Sentinels.
Dude, he did a double take checking that corner. He was like, all right, no, that's
Wait,
clear. Well, it's not clear. It's not clear. And yet he still got the kill too. Immortals. Now, I'm not saying it's not the upset that you mentioned earlier, but this still would be a massive one. This is a seeding game for sure, but Immortals have looked incredible this entire series long. Haven, maybe not so much, but they still had some wonderful rounds here or there. Those flawless ones that we talked about when, it was in the midst of the action. But Sentinels, they're ranked #1 in NA at the moment, and they're one of the big 4 in North America at the moment. This is a huge achievement for Immortals with the 2 new players that they've added, Chemicals and Nature. Both have been incredible, but it's not over yet. One more round for Immortals to officially cross the finish line.
Here we go.
Possibly
So
quietly.
Sentinels this round. You mentioned the word quiet. It's as quiet as you can get. There was double cat for a moment there, and they're actually going to maintain a fast rotation to that cat area. One is just watching the mid rotation, but wow, Chemicals takes down Sinatraa. That's 1 down for Sentinels. There's one here on site. Oh, zombs. Can't get it back and turn to the teleport. That's all the information in the world. Chemicals with another one. Takes down zombs. Sentinels, with only 3 players remaining, need to somehow make their way back on site. Now, no chance. Chemicals, jcstani, both get their kills. Shahzam now has to be the hero with the 1v5. He's gotta go for it. Sentinels, they're hounding for this one. Immortals, look at the players starting to rack up. They even have util to spend. Even an Empress of Darkness. And through the shadows, Shahzam emerges, still trying to get a couple of frags, still trying to get anything. He's overwhelmed. Immortals, they've done it. They beat Sentinels 2-1, and they're on to the Challengers Open Qualifier #1 Grand Finals.
Well